Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. So we're going to have a presentation made by two speakers, Vilius Benetis from NRD Cybersecurity, that you may have seen already in various conferences, and who is going throughout the world with his team to improve, I would say, the state of cybersecurity with teams. And second, we're going to have Christopher Banda from Malawi and from the MACRA CERT, which is one of the fellow team this year and for the next 2 years. So thanks, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go through that topic on operationalization of Malawi CERT and also lesson learned and challenges. Maybe let me start to say, some of you might not know where is Malawi. It's part of Southern Africa. We're bordering Mozambique, Zambia, and Tanzania. Our population is about 20 million. We are an agriculture-based economy, and also tourism, like Malawi, which has about 1/3 of the landmass, and also politics about multi-party democracy. Basically, those are key issues if you want to know about Malawi. So the overview of the presentation, I'll go through the legal framework, national cybersecurity strategy, and then the Malawi CERT achievements, challenges, and also a lesson learned. Malawi has the legal framework, which is the Electronic Transaction and Cybersecurity Act. This is the legal framework within the cybersecurity. It was developed to address the challenges relating to cybersecurity and the electronic transaction in Malawi. And also this law legislation establishes the Malawi Computer Emergency Response Team, which is the Malawi MW CERT, and is within the telecommunication regulator. And also Malawi has the National Cybersecurity Strategy, which was approved in 2019 and is on implementation stage. This describes how Malawi will ensure the secure, trusted, and resilient and safe cyberspace used by Malawi institutions and also the citizenry. Those who were here, I think the previous speaker talked more about the national cybersecurity strategy for their country. The vision for the strategy for Malawi is to a nation with a secure, trusted, resilient, and safe cyberspace that promotes a knowledge-based society and socio-economical development. The mission is to develop and deliver effective cybersecurity capacity, services, and infrastructure that instill confidence in the cyberspace. The strategy has about mainly 6 goals. It talks about the identification of the CII, that's critical information infrastructure, develop and enhance cybersecurity-related capacity, infrastructure, legal, regulator, and other related frameworks, promote awareness, information sharing, and collaboration on cybersecurity, also enable and continuously improve the safety of vulnerable groups in cyberspace, especially the children, and also enhance and coordinate the fight against all forms of crimes, cyber crimes, and also promote the use of cyberspace to drive social economical development. These are the 6 key strategic goals within the strategy for Malawi. Now, Malawi CERT, as I said, that the law mandated the regulator, telecom regulator, to establish the national CERT. So it's established unit as within the MACRA, which is the telecom regulator, to act as a focal point for the coordination of cybersecurity-related issues at both national and international level. Malawi CERT was established as Section 6 to the Electronic Transaction Act 2016, to take charge of critical information infrastructure protection actions and serve as a base for national coordination to respond to cybersecurity threats. The vision for the National CERT is to be the trusted cybersecurity emergency response team that makes Malawi and the world a safer space. The mission is to provide a comprehensive set of responses to security threats and vulnerabilities through national coordination with all stakeholders to effectively respond and prevent cybersecurity incidents for critical infrastructures and other systems of the national interest. Basically, the role of the CERT to facilitate the development of the national cybersecurity posture, assisting the CII owners to mitigate their information risk, establish a trusted communication channel between all the stakeholders, provide early warning to CII, coordinate on incidents response at national level, help CII to develop their own incident management capabilities, testing and measuring machine over time, and a guiding strategy based on measurement, and also promote a national culture of cybersecurity, that is awareness and capacity building. Basically, constituencies, our constituencies, there is all government organizations, critical information infrastructure operators, private companies, and also residents of Malawi. Take note that this is a national CERT. It's not a sector CERT, it's a national CERT. The services which we provide, that's information security incident management, vulnerability management, situation awareness, digital forensics, knowledge transfer, and also information security event management. The process of the establishment of the Malawi CERT, it took us time. Initially, as I said, the act was passed by the Parliament in 2016, and then 2017, around July, a unit was set up with just one person to coordinate the implementation. And then 2018, of course, we engaged the International Telecommunication Union to help us and guide us in terms of implementation. So in 2018, we did the initial assessment to establish the national CERT. And then again, around in November, we did a design for the national CERT. Maybe one issue which I want just to raise from there, those two activities, the assessment and the design was conducted together with the stakeholders, our constituencies. We didn't just do ourselves, but we called all the stakeholders to be part of the process of the assessment and also the design. So they had an input in the design of the national CERT. 2019, and then we finalized the contract with ITU in terms of implementation. 2020, 2021, actual technical implementation was delayed because of the COVID. However, in 2021, 2022 is when we finalized the implementation with the help of ITU, of course, through a consultant in terms of deploying the tools. So we finalized our technical implementation. That was December last year. Basically, I would say the structure the structure of our CERT, of course, there is national regulation, which is, I would say, the law, and also where we get mandate to establish the CERT, and then we have the policies which we have developed for the national CERT, and then we come to the services, and then the processes, workflows, and also the standard operating procedures. So key achievements for the national CERT, as I said, the first point is to it coordinated the development of the first cybersecurity maturity model which was in the very initial stages. And then you coordinated the development of national cybersecurity strategy, which I talked about. We did the coordination so that the country should have the strategy. And also conducted the national cybersecurity risk assessment in 2020. We also coordinated and developed the second cybersecurity model assessment in 2021. I think maybe when I talk about the CMM, it's the Oxford, maybe some of you know it, the Oxford maturity model. That's the one which we are using. And then in 2021, again, we conducted the second national cybersecurity risk assessment. Also, development of the national public infrastructure for the country. Currently, we're also developing the child online protection, which we're also coordinating, and also capacity building for law enforcement, judiciary, and law practitioners. This issue again is part of the national cybersecurity strategy, which talked about to bringing awareness and capacity building for the judiciary and also law enforcement. This was done recently around February, and also capacity building on cybersecurity of various security agencies, where we engage them when we have trainings. We invite the security agencies to be part of them, to be part of us, like maybe whether we have some security certification trainings. And also, we are approaching government to join the Budapest and the Malawi conventions. So far, government has done the initial consultations, and the stakeholders have recommended government to take up this issue to proceed with the joining of the conventions. Another point is, we are part of the fellowship, as said, and also Malawi CERT is the vice chair of the SADC CERT. I think some of you might know that SADC has started the process of coming up with a regional CERT. So Malawi is the vice chair. And also one issue, there's quite an improved local and international cooperation, coordination, and networking among the stakeholders. I think this issue is because of the initial stages which we started when we were developing the strategy, and also when we are doing the assessment and design of the CERT. We didn't leave out the stakeholders. Each stakeholder, each sector was part of the process. So that kind of trust and improved coordination. And also coordinating the sector sets. Currently we have academia, banking, of course, defense and government who are in the process of developing of coming up with the sector set. Last month, we organized the Cyber Drill for Africa, which we had many countries and other international organizations coming to participate. The aim of this conference was, one, to bring an awareness to the country about cybersecurity and also the CERT, because we established the CERT, but I think some sectors could not really understand what is it. But this one, it was an issue where we came up with this conference to bring such kind of awareness. And one benefit we have seen is, like, after the conference, there is that kind, I would say, increased number of maybe reporting issues, because now they know that there is this team which is existing in Malawi. And also we have seen like increased maybe willingness for the sectors to come up with the sector sets. Challenges, of course, gaps in our legislation. So currently the government is looking at reviewing the laws and developing some laws. Also delays in policy development, limited resources, lack of public education awareness on cybersecurity, and of course limited availability of capacity to mitigate emerging forms of cybercrime. Lesson learned. One issue which we felt like is like very important, there's need for legislation or strategy to get a mandate. Because in my country, it's quite hard if you don't have a law and then you start something for maybe the sectors, the constituency to follow. But if there is a legislation, it's very key. It helps you to move on, and also you can easily negotiate with the superiors for funding, because it's in the law, it could be in the strategy. Number two is the stakeholder engagement, cooperation, local and international, very important, because it's set computer emergency, the CSET, there are new terms, new issues, so you need to coordinate with the other international bodies who possibly have the experience, and also local bodies, local constituencies, very key, because the CERT is supposed to save the constituencies. Now you need to work together. They need to be part of your process, so that they should not be left out in all the issues. Another point, start small. You don't need necessarily to be big to start big. As I said, when we were starting in 2017 to come up with a unit, one person was just designated, can you start up this and then coordinate and then move on. So start small. You don't need necessarily to be big in terms of starting. Use available sources like open source. I think the issue is sustainability. It's very key to start somewhere, even use just open source solutions, and then you grow. When you have resources, you can add up to maybe to commercial tools. Capacity building, there's need to build capacity, which is an ongoing issue towards the team, and also keep on lobbying. Keep on lobbying because, these issues like capacity building, the tools, they need the resources. And then the superiors or maybe our policymakers, government, it might be difficult to understand the whole issue, but don't give up. There's need for keep on lobbying until things should be taken on board. Otherwise, thank you very much. I think that's what I wanted just to present. Maybe Vilius could have some comments.
Okay, so Malawi project for us was maybe 10th CERT, what we helped to operationalize. So having a lot of different experience from all around the world, I remember once we see, okay, there's a tender. So how we usually get into the projects, we observe international tenders and we see, a country wants to operationalize a project. Who have been, by the way, in Malawi? Okay. I'm not sure on which season, but in avocado season, you can see that their avocados are like this. Similar like Uganda, I think the only two countries where I've seen such big ones. So after first trip, when we already had a project, I took the one seed and planted. So we signed a contract in 2021 December. So now the plant is from here to here. And then I look at it, I feel, and I live in North where if I plant it outside, it's going to be in winter, probably will die eventually. So it's in the house now. And I think I look at the avocado tree growing, somehow it instantly connects me to Christopher. I'm going to tell you why. So first of all, what was presented here, so the tender was issued by ITUD, and I think community does not know enough how much ITU supports new teams without certs for them to happen in the background. We don't advertise, we don't put enough, I think, information, reality, what we do and how much effort we do. So I wish Orhan was here as well to thank him for the work he does. So they organized the tender, we submitted proposal, we waited, congratulations, and we signed a contract in December 2021. And Malawi is a country, okay, what do we know? So some people knew about Malawi fish. That's how we know name Malawi. Then in our company, we did a quiz kind of gathering. Okay, so what is the capital of Malawi? What kind of people are in Malawi? So the friend list. staff seems friendliest people in Africa. For the capital, I clicked wrong. I thought it's Blantyre because I know what my tickets are to Blantyre. It seems that Lilongwe, and so it's changing. You know, some countries change the capital, so that's a progress in Malawi happening at the moment. Traveling there complicated the routes because as well which airports, how to fly. And we start looking at the papers, so everything to the services, it was already pre-written. So how I perceive a country. So 2017, we put a flag and said, this is a CERT. 2017. Now we live. When you plant the tree, when you expect, okay, the apple tree in my culture or avocado tree, you expect fruit. But nobody upfront tell you for CERTs when you can get a ripe fruit. Nobody tells you. So 2017 it started. Now, this event, when I met Christopher, he's excited. Finally, he gets this recognition, this interest, this services and happening. Then we started the project. The frustration level was extremely high. And because we're already having 9 maybe projects before, so we know how it goes, the process. But then we see that from Malawi part. So, okay, we started the project. So tomorrow is the website. No, okay, not tomorrow. 2 weeks website you launch, and then we start running the services. I say, no. The process is that it's during 12 months, it's going to be operationalized. But the push from the management saying, okay, guys, it's already, 2017, long time ago. Where is the results? Where are the results? So probably took half a year until we finally showed that it's already there, and then team understood how it's actually going to be. Because remember, this is the first CERT in the country, and maybe in some of your countries as well. Those who never had a CERT, there are a lot of expectations. Well, how it's going to be, how wonderful it's going to be. We read these letters here, what was shown. Yeah, it's amazing. It's going to be incident response, national coordination. What it is, how it's going to look, how it's going to feel. Not much of experience in Malawi. And then going through that, and what I'm extremely happy about observing in Malawi, but it did not jump into technical, operational, cyber incident, malware, reverse engineering, but it was always focused on stakeholder engagement, talking with others and explaining, showing, coordinating into what's going to be and how to prepare. And I think about the plant in my house. I think what wins it will have to endure. And the biggest wins that I'm afraid of for the team is what's written in the National Cybersecurity Strategy program. It's a table of, 10 pages maybe. It says all kind of activities and who is responsible. And some things are Malawi CERT. Other things for cybersecurity, quite many, is MACRA. So imagine regulator who has CERT team and then pushing cybersecurity questions. So who is MACRA? Of course CERT. So mostly things CERT. Now, then you build CERT operational model. You say, okay, this is the mandate. This is what you're going to do their services. And these are the people who are trained and technology used. And suddenly all other legislative, administrative requirements, new laws, etc., there's no space, but there's expectation, but it has to be delivered. And this challenge we've seen in other countries. In Cyprus, I remember the CERT manager, even though having 11 people from the beginning saying, look, we cannot fit all this stress. Now we are operational, so everybody in the country expects that we're going to be superheroes for cybersecurity. And this is the biggest, coldest wind for the team. But I have a trust that it's going to be good because of the stakeholder involvement. And what I understand now, country wants a lot of CERTs. It's a similar way as you build the first hospital in the country, a small one, and then you plan to expand it. And everybody expects it to be super operation rooms, etc., etc. But now the idea is that let's build more hospitals, regional hospitals. Let's make ecosystem. Let's make it work. And that's, I think, the beauty of Malawi CERT story. It's still beginning. it's similar like this plant, but we are nice picture, nice leaves, big ones. It's fresh, it looks nice. But for the country to rely on it, it still needs many, many years to work out. And I remember, I think Sparky or somebody from JP CERT was telling a few years ago in one of the conference, saying that experience of Japanese assistants in operationalizing teams, you need to look at 5 years. If they survive 5 years, probably it's going to live on. In our projects, we estimate that if it survives 3 years, it's probably going to live on. The tree will grow and produce fruit, and they're going to be life cycles. They're going to be natural, a little bit down, up, because it requires people change, people migrate, and then the sets live on. So we're going to look at Malawi, and we're going to follow their success, and especially in this ecosystem build-out. And I suggest for all of you who are interested in the story, talk to Christopher and hear what exactly he did in making it work for the country. For me, Malawi itself is probably the first country where I did not see tractors. You mentioned that the first slide was agricultural, but because of still a lot of things what we need to do in development, so there's not many tractors. Maybe I've seen 1 or 2 while driving through the country. So in high tech, in technology, we want to make it the similar level, the similar advancement, the sets to be operational as we saw in different presentations, and it's challenging. So whoever has some practical thing, what you can offer, to invite, to propose, to share, to work remotely, to do knowledge transfer, I encourage to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions in the audience? Yeah, okay. Well, coming.
Thank you. Well done for all your hard work. Matt Palmer, CERT JE, we're at a similar stage of development, maybe a step behind you guys. I just wanted to ask, you sit within the telecoms, the communications regulator. How have you found operating a CERT from within a sort of I think it's a regulatory environment? Do you find any conflicts there in terms of their objectives and your objectives?
Thank you.
Oh,
You have mic.
okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for that question. Yes, of course, at the initial stage when we were developing the law, those were some of the issues which came along, where to house the national CERT. So some were suggesting somewhere, somewhere, but the point was we need to put somewhere where in the initial stages maybe resources could be available so that we develop and then grow. So that's why the parliament finally passed to say, let it start within the regulator. You may know that basically governments to establish a separate entity, they have a lot of questions and all those. So the point was, let's put first there, and then once we see it grows, and then we can put aside. And the good news, which I want just to say now, I think from the cyber deal we had last month, because there were many government institutions be there, even the policymakers, I think there's been more understanding, and then the decision has been made administratively to move out of the regulator now. They have given us a new premise separate to say you start to operate here, and then in due course the law will be changed so that we are put like an independent institution. So the point is, you need to start somewhere, regardless where it could be anywhere, but at least where there are resources where they can help you to grow. So in terms of conflict, I would say still people could ask your regulator and then cybersecurity issues. Why? But it has worked for us because we have started somewhere and we see ourselves growing up to where we are now. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Any other question? Yeah, coming.
Thank you, Christopher. My name is Michael. I work with the regulator in Uganda, and we pretty much run a CERT as well. One question for you. Are there any specific considerations you made while developing this? I'll tell you from where we come from on the eastern side of Africa, mobile money is very common there. So while among the lessons we've learned along the way were to make specific considerations for certain key elements, key resources in the country. And in some cases, we found that, for instance, the banking sector was not as developed as other sectors in terms of cybersecurity. So whereas on one hand, you're trying to make all the intervention necessary to ensure that they are protected, but then they're not yet there as yet. So are there any cases within this setup that you have to make special consideration for as you are building the CERT?
Thank you.
You can say.
Okay. You can start.
Sorry?
Oh, you can start if you want to. Maybe, yeah.
I think it's up to you.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for that question on the banking sector issues. Yes, being in Africa, we use a lot of mobile money issue, and then there's mobile money fraud come in. It's a big issue, and not only that, I think the bank, because again the mobile money is linked to the to the bank and all those issues. Yeah. So maybe what I want to say is, in our journey of establishing the National CERT, we have been constantly working together with the bank. And then even the bank, we started to engage them, especially the central bank, with also the commercial bank, to look at coming up with their sector CERT. So this has been in progress. As I say now, the bank, about 3 weeks ago, they had their first initial meeting for assessment of the financial sector CERT. So that in the process of coming up for their the financial sector CERT, in order is to coordinate and work together to address that kind of issues as one of the issues. So if you say special consideration to the bank, yes, we started some time back, and now they are at this stage where also they are working for coming up with the sector CERT. Apart from, as I said, the academia and also the government. But in all essence, as I say, the cyber drill helped a lot for the country to understand about the challenges in cybersecurity, and also to speed up possible consideration for also coming with the sector CERT where necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, time is over, so I think we can give a round of applause for both Christopher and Vilius.